All right, so continuing from the front page, we've got question C. Once again, go ahead and give this one a shot. See if you can do it on your own. All right, perfect. Now that you gave it a shot, let's get going. So I put in, once again, some information. Let's see if you can come up with the rest of it. So the first thing I said was IB is congruent to BL. How do we know IB is congruent to BL? That is given. Next one, I have step 2 is going to be a given. So what could that be? The only other given with the tick marks is that angle I is congruent to angle L. Next thing we have is reflexive. So what line there, line segment, is reflexive? BT is congruent to BT. And so next thing now we can do is we can pick which one it's going to be, which triangle theorem we can use. So if we've got this angle, this side, and that side, what property would that be? And if you're tempted to write down ASS, just remember to ask yourself, is that a correct theorem? And the answer to that is no. And so unfortunately, there's nowhere else we can go. So we're just going to say this is not congruent. At least CBD cannot be determined from the information we have. And question D. Once again, go ahead and give it your best shot. Go ahead and pause the video. If you want to challenge yourself, see if you can do it. And when you get done, come back to the video, unpause it, and we'll get started. All right, so I have some information. So number 1 says IT is parallel to OM. IT is parallel to OM. How do we know those two are parallel? This is going to be given. Right, we've got the arrows here, and arrows mean parallel. So the next one says my reason is given. So what could be the statement for that one? There is only one other given. It's the tick mark right here and right here. So IT is congruent to OM. Step number 3 says angle SIT is congruent to SMO. So what's my reasoning for these two being congruent? And that's going to be alternate interior angles. And anytime we do alternate interior angles, we always have to show the flow. We show the flow by telling what step did we say that the lines were parallel, because the lines have to be parallel in order for those to be congruent. It'd be step 1. And last thing is we need the pair of angles that are congruent by vertical angles. So angle IST is congruent to OSM. Vertical angles. So then lastly, give me the property that says these two triangles are congruent. That'll be angle, angle, side. So we've got this angle and that angle. And once again, we want to show the reasonings. So we need first to show the first angle, and then the second angle, and then the side. So the reason for that first angle is going to be vertical angles, step 4. The next angle would be step 3. And the two sides would be step 2. All right. And question 89. So for each part, determine which lines, if any, are parallel. Be sure to justify your decisions. So letter A says angle E is congruent to angle M. So if these are congruent, do we know if any lines are congruent? So the first thing we have to ask ourselves is, what is the angle relationship between these two? They are corresponding angles. So if corresponding angles are congruent, then the lines have to be parallel. So we do know lines are parallel. Which lines are they? It'll be line TS and line VU. All right, I know it's hard to read because it's not quite zoomed in, but here I've got line TS is parallel to line VU, and this is by corresponding angles. So first of all, to note the line symbol, I put the line symbol, but there's arrows on both sides, because now we're talking about a whole line. We're not just talking about the segment. I use my parallel sign. Then I said VU. Once again, I'm using the line notation, so there's arrows on both ends. And then put my reason by corresponding angles, which is the relationship between E and M. Also note there's dots. There's points on these lines, so this would be line TS. This would be line VU. This would be line YZ. And this would be line WX, since it's got those points. All right, question B. So we know angle C is congruent to angle O. So do we have any angle relationships with those? So any angle relationships with that? We do not. So we're just going to write CBD, therefore cannot be determined. All right, let's look at letter C. Letter C is now angle D and angle O. So D and O. So now go ahead and tell me, first of all, are they parallel? And if they are parallel, what's my angle relationship that makes it parallel? So yes, they are parallel. So it's going to be, once again, TS is parallel to VU. And my relationship here is alternate sides of transversal, but exterior to the two parallel lines. So alternate exterior angles. Alternate exterior angles. All right, so I highlighted this. So angle A, angle M, and angle O. So what lines do we know are parallel? Do we know any lines are parallel? The answer is yes, we do know some lines are parallel. So let's start with those lines. So we've got YZ is parallel to WX. And what's my relationship between O and M that tell me they are parallel? Those are going to be corresponding. And then do we know anything about the other two lines? Since M and A are also congruent, do we know that these two more horizontal lines are congruent? And the answer to that is no. We have same side exterior angles, but same side exterior angles are supplementary, not congruent. Question E says angle A and angle K. Those two aren't even on the same sets of lines, so there's going to be nothing there that we can use, so cannot be determined. And the last one, we have angle K is congruent to angle C, which is congruent to angle F. So for this one, first let's look at these. These two do have an angle relationship, so we know that those two lines must be parallel. So TS must be parallel to VU, and my relationship between these two are corresponding angles. And let's see if this angle F has anything to do with it. If we look at the relationship between F and C, we do know they are alternate interior angles. So then if these two are alternate interior angles, this line and that line must be parallel. So WX is parallel to YZ.